Welcome to Live Daf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi, which is Megillah, Daf Chaf Aleph. We begin right on top of the Amid. Now the Mishnah gave us a comprehensive list of various activities, various mitzvahs, which are meant to be performed during daytime. Now there are two chidushim in this Mishnah. Number one, these things are limited to Yom. Number two, that although lichatchila, it is preferred to do it at the earliest possible moment. Zrizin magdim mitzvahs, nevertheless, they can be done any time during the day. Okay, let's continue with the list. Says the Gemara on the top line, Ularifa so'egla. Person was found killed on the road. The city closest to that incident will bring a calf and remove its head. Egla arufa. This must be done during the day. Amri dvei Rabbi Yanai. Rabbi Yanai explained, you know why? Kaparak sirba kikachim. The pasuk uses the term kapara by arifa se'egla. Kaper la'amcha Yisrael la'shapadisa Hashem, which is similar language to kapara of karbanis, just as karbanis are meant to be done during the yom. Likewise, arifa se'egla, which is a form of kapara, which requires yom. Otaras mitzvah. The cleansing process of the mitzvah, as described in Parshas Mitzvah, the birds, etc., that he brings on his 8th day, that requires yom. Dichsiv zois tia teres ha-mitzvah, bi yom taharasai dafka bi yom. So up until now we discussed daytime mitzvahs. Going forward, we're going to discuss nighttime mitzvahs. Kol halayla kosher l'ktziras ha'omer. The cutting of the omer must take place during the night, between 15 and 16 of Nisan. How do we know? Damar Mar, as we learned in Maseches Menachos, Ktsira usfira balayla, the actual harvesting of the omer, and the mitzvah of sfira ha'omer is limited to Laila. V'hava b'yom. You actually bring the minchas omer the following day. Rashi brings that. Take a look at the Gemara Menachos, but we have all the sources for this halacha. What else is a nighttime activity? Well, hekte chalav mevarm. You have leftover fat or limbs of the karbanis. You can bring them throughout the entire night. T'chsiv kol halayla ad haboker. So it carries on throughout the entire night. Zaklal, we follow the following rule. Davar shemitzvah b'yom kosher kol hayom. Something which is meant to be performed during yom, you can do it any time throughout the day. Zaklal lasu yemai. By concluding with this klal, what are we trying to include? What else are we trying to add? Perhaps something which was not listed in this list. Says the Gemara, we're coming to add something. Lasuye sidur bazichen v'siluk bazichen. Once a week on Shabbos, they would exchange a lechem apanim. Take the old one, put on fresh bread, remove the old bazichen, spoons which contain levoina fragrance, bring it on the mizbeach, and replace it with new ones. Removal of these bazichen, of these spoons, that's called siluk bazichen. The placement of the new ones are called sidur bazichen. You can do this any time throughout the day. For instance, you can remove the old ones in the morning, put on the new ones at night. Davar shemitzvah b'yom kosher kol hayom, anytime throughout the day. Ukar Rabbi Yossi, in line with Shitas Rabbi Yossi, who allows this to be done. The Sanya, Rabbi Yossi Eimer. Silek es Shana Shachris. Suppose you remove the old bread. Not that old, it's actually miraculously remained fresh. It means to say last week's batch was removed in the morning, Shabbos morning. V'sider es hachadasha arbis, and he only placed the new batch towards evening, at the end of the day. Ein mekach klum, that's still fine. Umani mekayim l'fnei Hashem tamid. How do I fulfill the pasuk which says that the lechem apanam is meant to be present on that shulchan tamid continuously, constantly? Doesn't mean every second. It means shelo yehi shulchan b'lei lechem. There's a girsa shlo yolen shulchan b'lei lechem. Means to say that the shulchan shouldn't be free of lechem overnight. But if it's taken in the morning and replaced in the afternoon, that's fine. As long as you don't pass through that day, the entire day without bread. As long as there was no lina without bread. Our Mishnah, which seems to allow this process to take place, which indicates that you can make this transition, this exchange, anytime throughout the day. Take the old one in the morning, bring the new one in the afternoon. Apparently it's Shitas Rabbi Yossi, whereas Shitas Chachamim, as Rashi points out, is different. They hold Taman means literally, all the time, 24/7. You can't leave the table without lechem even for a moment. How do you do it? So you have two groups of Kehanim collaborating. You have them pulling off the old bread and pushing in the new bread at the same time. It's a simultaneous experience. So the lechem, the bazichen, are removed as soon as the new one is brought onto the shulchan. Our Mishnah doesn't seem to be concerned with that. You do it any time throughout the day. Continues the Gemara. Likewise, something which could be done at night is kosher the entire night. What is the Mishnah including with this phrase? What are we coming to add? Lasuya mai. Lasuya, we're coming to add achilas psachim, the mitzvah of eating the korban pesach. You can do it the entire night. You're not bound to, you're not limited by chatzos. Like Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, unlike Hashita or Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, who holds that chatzos is the deadline, the sign. He meant to eat the korban pesach tonight. What is the lashon hazeh coming to teach us? Amar Rabbi Eliezer ben Azariah, nemar kan balayla hazeh. By Pesach it says, eat it balayla hazeh. V'nemar lahalan, and by the makas bechiris, it says vavarti beretz Mitzrayim balayla hazeh. We connect the two phrases, balayla hazeh, and we say ma lahalan ad chatzos. Just as by makas bechiris, it's referring to the time of chatzos. Afkan ad chatzos. Likewise by achilas korban pesach, it's only suitable until chatzos. And Tosfos brings that although our Mishnah is not following the Eliezer ben Azariah, in our Mishnah we learn that mitzvah balayla kosher kol halayla until morning. However, there are other Mishnayos. Is a Mishnah in Pesachim, which seems to be following Eliezer ben Azariah's shita, and therefore Tosfos says that Mishnah in Zvachim, Mishnah in Bracha, Gemara in Brachas. So we follow Eliezer ben Azariah, and therefore he says we have a deadline when it comes to korban pesach, chatzos. And likewise, even b'zman hazeh, he says tzorich l'maher le'echol matzah, but leili psachim kodim chatzos, because matzah and pesach have the same zman. You have to get through it before chatzos. But he adds, don't worry about the halal. It's only d'Rabbanan, and you're not limited by chatzos. Hadron Allah hakoyre l'mafreya, says the Mishnah. Hakoyre sa Megillah. One is allowed to read the Megillah, even in public. Whether he's oimid, v'yoshev, whether standing or sitting, that's okay. Kora echad, kora shnaim yatsu. You have one balkoyer reading, you have two people reading together. You could be yotze, you can listen to one of these two people, even though there's interference. There's somebody reading at the same time. The Gemara will explain to us that the Kriyas Megillah is a dear moment, an exciting moment. You make sure to pay attention. If you're in a place where they have a minute to make the bracha following the Megillah, yivarech, you do so. If it's in a makom that doesn't have that minute, they're not accustomed to making the bracha after the Megillah, lo yivarech, you don't need to make a bracha. While we're on the topic of Kriyas Megillah, let's proceed to Kriyas HaTorah. B'sheni on a Monday, b'chamishi on a Thursday, b'Shabbos b'mincha, Shabbos afternoon. We have a short, relatively brief Kriyas HaTorah ceremony. Koirin Shloisha. We only get 3 people, 3 aliyahs. It's called Koirin Shloisha because those days the actual Oila would read his portion of the Torah. When people became less familiar with the content of the Torah and the way to sing it, so that we have a Baal Korah. who reads it on your behalf. In any case, we have 3 oilam, 3 aliyahs. Ein peichsen mehen. You don't deduct, you don't do less than 3. And likewise, ve'ein masifin alein, we don't add, which will make the experience more cumbersome and inconvenient for people rushing out to work. Ve'ein maftirin benavi, for the same reason, we don't add navi at the end. Explains Rashi, around halfway down the Amid. B'sheni b'chamishi b'shabbos v'mincha. Explains Rashi, where does this come from? Ezra Tikkun. Ezra HaSefer was masakin. She occurred in b'sheni b'chamishi. V'kam perek meruba. So he meant to do Kriyas HaTorah during these days. V'achash minan the shloishen kohen b'levi l'Yisrael. So Kriyas HaTorah we know. But here we learn that it's 3. Kohen, Levi, and Yisrael. So you have only 3. You don't add. Why not? You don't want to make it difficult. You don't want to impose on the crowd. It's a work day. So that addresses Mondays and Thursdays. What about Shabbos in the afternoon? Why are you limited to 3? It's usually close to evening. A whole day they were busy learning. There was a drasha, a shir. So the day is coming to an end. We don't want to prolong the procedure. Continues the Gemara, the Mishnah. Who makes the birchas haTorah? Hapaiseach v'achosim b'Torah. Only the first aliyah and the last aliyah, they make the brachas. Mevarich lefanei lacharei. So the first one makes the asher baruch habanu, and the last, the third aliyah, he's the one that says Asher Nasan Lanu at the end of his aliyah, but otherwise, you don't make more brachas than that. The Gemara will tell us the Bizman Hazeh changed because of other reasons. So Mondays, Thursdays, Shabbos in the afternoon, 3 oilam. Harish Chodesh, Chol HaMoed, we add Keren Abba. We have 4 oilam. Ein peichsen mehen, ve'ein masifin alein. You don't detract, you don't add. But although we add another aliyah, we don't want to make it too cumbersome, too lengthy. We don't add the mafter b'navi. What about the birchas haTorah? The same as before. Habeseach, v'achayim b'Torah, the first and last aliyah, mevarach l'fanei l'achorei, they make the bracha before and after. Ze'aklal. I want to follow the following rule of thumb regarding the number of aliyahs. Kol sheyesh by musaf. If a day has karban musaf, tfilas musaf, which is reflective of its added higher stature, it's a Rosh Chodesh, a Chol HaMoed, added kedusha, which deserves an extra aliyah. Meiri explains the amount of aliyahs correspond. It's in proportion to the kedusha of that day. So the added aliyah connects you to the kedusha of that day. The more kaddish it is, the more you need, the more Torah, the more connection you need to derive, to extract that kedusha embedded within that day. So the holier it is, the more aliyahs. Kol sheyesh bei musaf, a day that has musaf, Rosh Chodesh Chol HaMoed, ve'ein Yom Tov, but it's not a day of bitul malacha. Keren Abba, we add one more aliyah. B'Yom Tov, on a Yom Tov where you refrain from malacha, the kedusha is greater. Chamisha, we add another aliyah. Total of 5. B'Yom Kippurim, Shisha. Yom Kippur is even more stringent and more kaddish than a regular Yom Tov. You don't do any malacha, even eichel nefesh. Shisha, we add another aliyah. B'Shabbos, which is even more kaddish. Shabbos is a skila, misa b'dei adam for a malacha, so it's considered more kaddish than Yom Kippur. We get the total of 7 aliyahs. Ein peichsen mehen. Throughout all these days, you don't deduct from the number of aliyahs. Aval meisifin aleim, but Shabbos and Yom Tov you can add to the aliyahs because you're not holding anybody back. There's no work to run to. Maftir b'navi, we add a navi at the end. Hapeseach v'chaysim b'Torah mevarich l'fanei l'achra. The first and last aliyahs, they're the ones that make the bracha. And Taisus asks, why the repetition? Mishnah keeps on repeating this concept of the brachas, which belong to the first and last aliyahs. He says perhaps there would be room to speculate that when you have too many aliyahs, you can't disperse those brachas. One at the beginning, one at the end. Perhaps every oiler should make his bracha. There's too much in between the first and last aliyahs. That's why the Mishnah repeats itself. This concept applies to 3, to 4, to 5, doesn't matter how many. Says the Gemara, Tana, we learned in a Bryce. Although one may read the Megillah sitting, that's only because the Megillah. But Kriyas HaTorah, that must be done standing up. So the Korah has to read standing up. Minan Emili. How come? Amar Rabbevo Damakra. Va'ata Poya Moedi Madi. Hashem tells Moshe, stand here with me. V'amar Vo. Ilmalei. If not for the fact that we have this pasuk, Mikra Kasev, Yeshel Imrei. It's something you can't even say, Kaviyachat, as if saying, Afakadosh Baruch Hu Ba'amida. Come, stand with me. It's as though pasuk is saying that Hashem is also standing. So we see that when you read the Torah, when you express words of Torah, when you teach Torah, it must be done ba'amida. And likewise, when we do Kriyas Torah in Shul, we are re-experiencing that event, that Matan Torah, which is an ongoing event. And therefore, just as by Matan Torah, when Hashem gives the Torah to Moshe, they're standing. We are also standing when we read the Torah b'tzibur. There are other halachas that were added to the Kriyas Torah to ensure that it resembles Matan Torah. We know that there meant to be 3 people there: the Balkura, the Gabe, another fellow, just as it was Hashem, Klal Yisrael, Moshe Rabbeinu. So the Kriyas Torah is meant to be a reenactment of Matan Torah, and therefore only ba'amida. You know, remember when I was in Yeshiva of Staten Island, which was established by Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, I came there, I saw something strange. There were no shtenders, which are typically found in yeshivas, in these lecterns, only tables. And when I asked, they explained to me, Rabbi Moshe Feinstein didn't hold up shtenders. He says, Torah, when you learn Torah, you're meant to bend over to your Gemara. Don't lean back and have the Gemara bend to you. When you learn Torah, the Gemara in Bracha says, Be'ema, Be'yira, Be'resas, Be'ziyah. It's meant to be an experience, a Matan Torah. That fright, that trepidation, that bittul, melting away and connecting to Hashem. It's meant to be an inspiring event and not a relaxing event. You know, Rav Moshe himself, they say, never would lean back. Sitting on a chair, right, next to a table, he wouldn't lean on the back. He would always lean forward. Take a look, all the pictures they have of Rav Moshe Feinstein learning, it's always leaning forward with true respect and yiras hakavod for the Torah. Continues the Gemara. V'amar Ravo. Minayin, how do we know? L'rav shelo yeshiv al gabi mita. From when we know that the Rebbe, when he teaches Torah to his Talmud, he shouldn't be sitting on the bed. V'yishanel tamid al gabi karka. When his Talmud is sitting on the floor, they have to be on equal levels. Shenemar va'ata poya moedi madi. Hashem tells Moshe, stand with me. They're both standing, so you both have to be on equal plane. It can't be on top and the Talmud on bottom. There has to be that true connection, that parallel between Rebbe and Talmud. Tanu Rabbanim. Not only are these things applicable to a Rebbe and a Talmud, but the entire experience of learning. Even when a person learns himself, it's meant to be reminiscent of the way it was given over by Har Sinai. Tanu Rabbanim Moshe v'ad Rabbi Gamliel. From the time of Moshe until Rabbi Gamliel's times, they would learn standing up, the way it was done, B'shas Matan Torah. That's when they were able to do it. But when Rabbi Gamliel passes away, suddenly weakness descended upon the world. In those days, they started sitting down when they were learning. Once Gamliel passes away, the kavod Torah, the true honor of Torah, was taken away. Because going forward, it wasn't the same. They used to learn sitting down. By the way, this Gemara is the marker for what many people do. They stand by Kriyas Torah, although it's not required, it's a minhag. But it's based on this Gemara because not only is the Baal Korah going to be standing to sort of replay Matan Torah, but the Tzibur as well, standing up to accept the words of Torah, to relive the experience of Matan Torah in the most profound, real way. Now we seem to have a steer in the Psukim. Kosav Echad Omer. In one pasuk, Moshe says, "Va'eshed bahar." I was sitting on the mountain when I was learning from Hashem. Kosav Echad Omer. Another pasuk it says, "Va'nochem manti bahar." I was standing. Was he standing? Was he sitting? Amar Rav, Oymed v'loymed. Initially, when he learns from Hashem, it's standing up, as we said before. Yoshev v'shayna. But he would sit down to review what he learned. So when it was a direct connection, when he was actually learning from Hashem, it was standing up. But otherwise, he would sit down to review. Rachonina Amar, let's make a compromise. Standing, sitting, somewhere in between. It wasn't really standing up or sitting. Leaning over to express his kaveh to Hashem. Rabbi Yehuda Amar, no, in yeshiva lashon akava. Yeshiva in this case doesn't mean sitting. It means akava. He was stationed, positioned there. Of course, it was standing, but he was just there permanently. 40 days. Shenamar v'teishu b'kadosh yamim rabim. You sat in Kaddish many days. They sat. They resided there. They were positioned there. Says the third teretz. Fourth teretz. Rav Amar. Both are true. Standing and sitting. Depends what. Rakos mu'umad. Things which are relatively easy to grasp. That he would learn standing up. V'kashas miyushav. Things which are more difficult, require more focus and concentration, that he did sitting down. Out of necessity. He did it be yeshiva. So Mishnah spoke about Kriyas Megillah, which can be done Kara Echad, one person reading, or even Karosh Naim, two people together. If you're listening to one of them, Yatsu, that's okay. Tana, we're going to the Brayso, Mashenken B'Torah, doesn't apply to Kriyas HaTorah. So this concept of having two people read at once, it's unique to Megillah. The Gemara soon will explain the reason for this. Tana Rabbanon. B'Torah, you need Echad Korah Echad Metargum. Stick to one person, one Baal Korah, and one person translating. Keep it clear, keep it with less confusion. Don't allow one person to read and two people to translate. It can confuse people. All kinds of voices roaming around. Have one person doing the job. That's by Torah, which has mitzvahs where you have to be careful. The community grasps the concepts clearly. However, Navi, when it comes to Navi, which doesn't really contain the mitzvahs, then you can have Echad Korah Shnai Metargman. One person's going to read it, and two people will yell out, will translate if needed. Because we're not so careful about the Targum of Navi. We're not so concerned about confusion. When it comes to Navi, Rashi says it doesn't really have the mitzvahs. And therefore, accuracy is not really our highest priority here. Ubelvad provided Shalayu Shnaim Kern, Ushnaim Metargman. You can't have two people reading at once and two people translating. Why? What's the difference? Because when you have two people reading at once, it's just confusion. You don't get anything. It's a waste. So if you have one person reading but two are translating, and Rashi explains the Targum is just to translate for the Noshim, Am Ya'aretz. So it's not so crucial if they don't really grasp it fully, as long as the general crowd has it clear. Ubahal b'Megillah. However, when it comes to reading Hal or reading the Megillah, Afila Sorakern. Rashi takes out the next two words. You can have 10 people reading at once. As long as you're trying to focus and listen to one person, it's okay, even though there's so much going on. My time, and why is Halal or Megillah different than Kriyas HaTorah? The answer is, given the Chaviva, since it's something dear, it's exciting. Megillah is once a year, Halal once a month. It's a time of celebration. It's exciting. Yavi Datayu Vishami. They'll focus, they'll pay attention, and they'll be able to discern clearly what he's saying. The Mishnah says, Mokem Shanogu Levarach Yivarach. If you happen to be in a place where they have a minute to add a bracha to Megillas Esther, go along with it. But otherwise, you don't have to make a bracha. Amar Abaye Shano. This only pertains to the bracha afterwards. El Lacharea. That depends on minhag. Aval Faneh mitzvah levarach. But certainly, there's a mitzvah to make a bracha before Kriyas HaMegillah like any other mitzvah, even though it's a mitzvah d'Rabbanan. The Gemara asks, Gemara Sukkah says, where? How can you tell Hashem you commanded? You told him to light Ner Chanukah, to read the Megillah. So according to one teretz of the Gemara, yeah, Hashem says Lo Yisasa, don't stray, don't deviate from the Divrei Chazal, as you're instructed by Chazal. So Vitzivanu makes sense. Hashem, you told us to do this. You told us to follow the words of Chazal. Says Abaye, this bracha beforehand, it's universal. Every mitzvah gets that. That's not Toli and Minag. Damar Vidamar Shmuel, Kol mitzvahs, Kulan, all mitzvahs. Mivarach Alein, they get a bracha, Eiver Asiyasan, prior to the fulfillment of the mitzvah. So Eiver means in advance of the mitzvah. My mashma d'hai Eiver. What do we see? That the word Eiver means Lishnu Dakdumihu, in advance of the event. What does Eiver have to do with advance? We have a right. Amar of Nachmar Yitzchak, Amar Kro, the pasuk says, Vayaratz achimatz derech hakikar. So he ran through the square. Vayavoyres hakushi, and he passed over. He proceeded. He went ahead of the kushi. So you see, vayavar means to go ahead. Abayam Mamhacha from the following pasuk. V'hu avar lefneim. Hashem b'roisham. So you see, sorry, v'hu avar lefneim. That's by Yaakov, that he passed before. He stood before the family. So we see that avar means to advance. Another raya. Vayavar malkam b'lefneim Hashem b'roisham. So once again we see that vayavar means to go ahead. Lefneim my mevarach. So indeed, what bracha do you make before Kriyas HaMegillah? Says the Gemara, not one bracha, it's actually three. Rav Sheshes Mikartizia from this town, Ikla. He came to visit the Kameder of Ashi. He visited Rav Ashi. Ubarich Manach. And Rav Sheshes made three brachas. Mem Nun Ches. Mem is Mikra Megillah. The Nun is She'asa Nisan. And the Ches is Shechiyanu. So that's standard. But the bracha following the Megillah, that's pending on Minhag HaMokim. Now, which bracha would you make after the Megillah? Lachriya May Mavarach. Says the Gemara, a whole long bracha. Baruch Atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, thanking Hashem for battling our enemies, helping us defeat our enemies, vanquishing our enemies. Harabas Rivenu. Hashem fights our fight. Adanas Dinneinu. He issues judgment against those who challenge us. He takes revenge for us. He pays back all our enemies. He gives retribution to all our enemies. Then indeed Hashem exacts revenge against all our enemies. Rava Amar, Hakela Mashiach. Instead of Hanifal Yisrael, you end off Baruch Hashem in a positive note. Hakela Mashiach, Hashem will give Yeshua to us. Amar Papa, okay, you have two options. Merge them together. Hilkach, Nimrinu L'Tavai. Let's merge both versions. Baruch Hashem, Hanifal Yisrael Mikol Tzareim. On sort of a negative note, Hashem who extracts revenge, who punishes all our enemies. And we end with a positive note. Hakela Mashiach, Hashem who ultimately redeems Klal Yisrael and brings Yeshua to us. Kriyas HaTorah on Mondays, Thursdays, and Shabbos afternoon involves three oilam, three kiruim. So the minimum is three. Is there any significance to number three? Hani shloisha k'neged mi. This number three, what does it correspond to? Amar Rav Asi k'neged Torah Nevi'im Uksuf. Rav Amar k'neged Krihanim Levi'im Yisraelim. It's interesting that the Maharal, in many places, places extra significance on the number three when it pertains to Torah mitzvahs. He explains that three denotes connection. You have two disconnected elements. How do you connect it with the number three? Because three can be distributed like this. One part connects to this element, the other part of the three connects to the other element, and the middle element of the three connects them all together. That's how you get at that connection. And Torah, he says, relates very much to number three, where Shabbos says it's a triple experience. Torah Nevi'im Ksuvim, given on the third month, Nisan Iyar Sivan. Given by Moshe Rabbeinu, third born, given to Klal Yisrael. It's comprised of three categories: Kohanim, Levim, Yisraelim. So he says that's the point of Torah. There's the heaven, spiritual realms. There's Olam Hazeh, physical reality, and Torah has that ability. Only Torah has that ability to connect the upper worlds to the lower worlds. That's the number three. One up there, one down here, and connecting it. Through Torah, we're able to create that cohesion between spirit and physical. It allows us to elevate the spiritual, this world, and help it identify and connect it with the upper worlds. So that's the number of three aliyahs. Now, how many psukim? What's the minimum of psukim? Elahad the Tanya of Simi. What about the halacha of Simi tells us? Ein person yub psukim beis hakneses. At the least, we must read through 10 psukim at any given Kriyas HaTorah event. So 10 psukim. Vayidaber oilo min haminin. But you should know that Vayidaber Shem Mishalim, even though you don't learn much from that pasuk, it's part of the 10. Ani asura connected me. What significance does the number 10 have? 10. Oh, that's a popular number in the Torah. Amar Shimon Levi. Firstly, Keneged Asar Batlanan. Shebeis HaKnesses. We know that. Again, that's back on the Gimel. A true city is a city that has a group of people, a koil sitting in the shul, keeping it active, keeping the minyanim going. So reading 10 psukim sends that message, says the Ran, how important it is to have 10 individuals who are caretakers, so to speak, of the Torah, look after the shul in the city. Rav Yosef Amar, Keneged Aser Sadibris, Shnem L'Moshe Messinai. It's Keneged the 10 dibris. Rav Levi Amar, Keneged Asor Hilulin, She'amadav B'Sefer Tehillim. We find in the Perikah, Lukacha, we have 10 expressions of Hilul. Rav Yechon Amar, Keneged Asor Ma'amoros, Shebehen Divra Olam. Take a look in the beginning of Parshas Bereshis. You have 10 utterances, 10 expressions, which brought about Brias Olam. So the 10 psukim of the Torah that you read correspond to that, to show that Torah upholds the world. Torah is the end goal, where the world is heading for. Bereshis, B'Shvil HaTorah, Shnikar Bereshis. Asks the Gemara, how do you get to 10? Haininu. Vayomer de Bereshis. So you're going to go through all the Vayomers that you find in the beginning of Bereshis, you find 10? Actually not. Hani Tishabu. You have a total of 9. Not 10. Answers the Gemara, Bereshis Nami Mamaru. The first pasuk, Bereshis Bara Elokim Hashemayim Ha'aretz, is also considered a mamar. What does that mean? D'chsiv b'dvar Hashem shamayim nasu, u'beruach piv kol tzivan. The Shemayim Ba'aretz were also created by Hashem's dvar, or the word of Hashem. So when the pasuk relates to the Shemayim Ba'aretz, Bereshis Bara Elokim Hashemayim Ha'aretz, it's indicative of the fact that there was some sort of expression, some sort of deeper or mamar that created them as well. So although it's not stated explicitly, but it's implied. We could add it to the list. Now, Taisa asks a kasha. Here we learn that we need a minimum of 10 psukim during Kriyas HaTorah. What about Parshas Amalek? Parshas Zachar. Take a look at Parshas Zachar. You only have 9 psukim. How does that work? Answers Taisis. It's different. It's different than your standard Kriyas HaTorah, because Parshas Amalek is the theme of the day. Right? It's not just it happens to be part of the parsha. It's what you want. You're trying to. It's a message you're sending. It's Sirra de Yaymo. It's Inyana de Yaymo. Umavsek Inyana Bey. And it's a 9 pasuk experience, 9 pasuk topic. So it's a distinct parsha. It gives it chashivas, and therefore we're not concerned about the fact it doesn't have 10 psukim. Continues the Gemara. So we have 3 aliyahs for 10 psukim. How does that divide properly? It's going to be 3, 3, and 4. Who's the one that's going to read the 4? Amar Rava. Either one is good. Rishon Shekara Dalad Meshubach. The first one hurries up and does 4 psukim, that's great. If the next fellow did 4 psukim, he's also to be praised. The third one does it, that's also fine. There's a benefit, there's a mal in each one. How? The first fellow does it, that's great. It's none. We find in Mishnah that the first has chashivas. B'sholish kupos, sholish sin, shebehen termin sam lishka. We went this back in Maseches Shkolim. After the machzah shekels would arrive in the Mikdash, was stored in a chamber, and 3 times a year they would do a truma, separate some of those coins and use them to supply the karbanis. So actually, they took 3 kupas, 3 of these boxes, each one containing 3 sa'ah of content. And that was used to make trumas halishka, to separate from the chamber. But because of Alein, these boxes had symbols: Aleph on one, Beis on the other, and Gimel on the other. What's the point? In any case, they use all the coins in those boxes. Later, this would indicate Eze mehen nitma rishon. This way, you know which one was used first, was filled first, and that gets priority. Why? That's more chashav. Lahakiv men rishon. So that box is meant to supply the korbanos. That's the one you meant to use first. Shemit mitzvah barishon. It's a mitzvah to use the first. That is chashivas. Here as well, the first oila Torah, he has a certain chashivas. The first one. So if he does 4 psukim, that's great. Likewise, if the middle fellow chooses to do the 4 psukim, that's also great. Middle one has chashivas too, the sanya. El mul pnei ha-menorah. Eiru shivas haneris. So the neris were facing the pnei ha-menorah. What is that? Malamed, we learn, shemetzaded pneim klape nerem tzoy. They would arrange the lamps so that they're leaning towards the ner ma'aravi. Rashi explains, we're going according to the shita, that the menorah was situated north-south, in which case the middle lamp was leaning towards the Kodesh HaKadoshim, right? If this is the Mishkan or the Beis HaMikdash, this is Kodesh HaKadoshim, Ma'arav, right? This is south-north, and the menorah is south-north, so the middle lamp is facing Marav. That's why it's called Ner Marav. And all the other ones, right? All the other ones were facing the middle one. The middle one is facing forward towards the Kodesh HaKadosh. All the other lamps were tilted towards the middle. The middle one towards the Shechina. After we give special chashivas to the middle one, what does that say? The one in the middle, surrounded by all sides, that's chashiv. Here as well, the middle oila, if he does 4 aliyahs, 4 psukim, that's great, because he has special chashivas too. Likewise, if the last fellow does 4, that's also great. We went to upgrade in matters of kedusha, matters of Torah, not downgrade. So if he's the one that's left with the 4 psukim, it's also an accomplishment, because in this case they went up instead of going down. If the first one or the second one would have done the 4, and he would have gone down to 3. So the point is that either way you did something right. There was a story with Rav Papa. Ikla lebeknishta de Abi Gubar. So he visited the shul of Abi Gubar. V'kara Rishon Arba. He was the first oila, and he did 4 psukim. V'shavchi Rav Papa praised him. Look, you chapped the right. The first one, Rishon Meshubach, and you went all the way. So you don't take away, you don't analyze. Tana, we learned in the Brisa. What about the brachas? Hapeseach, the first oila, the first kairi, he's the one that makes the brach lefanah, mevarach lefanah. He makes the asher baruch habono before his aliyah. V'achaysim, the last and final oila, mevarach achareh, he does the bracha following his aliyah. That's what it used to be. But nowadays, we don't do it this way. The kulu, all the oilam, mevarchi lefanah lachareh. They make a bracha on both sides of their aliyah. Everybody makes brachas. Why? Hainu taima. Why is that? Hainu taima. The tkinu rabbanon. Rabbanon made a special takana. Gezerah mishma nechnasin, mishma yotzim. We're concerned about people coming in and leaving. What does that mean? Let's go to Rashi. About 12 lines from the bottom. Mishma nechnasin. Some things never change. Shem yikanos olam esakneses. Acha shebirach rishon. A late comer comes in the middle of the aliyah. He missed the bracha that precedes the first oila. Okay. Now, v'im lo yishmas achir mevarchen. If you won't hear any other oilam saying a bracha before their aliyah, Yoimar, he'll say, oh, ain't bracha, there's no bracha before aliyah. Look, I didn't hear any brachas. So a latecomer who misses the first bracha will start thinking, well, there's no brachas before the aliyah. So that's why every oilah should make a bracha before his aliyah. This way he'll hear something along the way. What about the bracha following the aliyah? This time I'm concerned about people leaving early. People running out mol kriyas haTorah. And they hadn't stayed long enough to hear the last person, the last oilah do the last bracha. And all they heard was the first one or two oilim, and they didn't hear any bracha b'Hashem nasan lanu after the aliyah. Yomra they'll say, Yomra yotzim, ain't bracha b'Torah chareh. They'll speculate that there's no bracha after the Torah. To avoid any confusion, Chacham Masakin, every oilah will make a bracha before and after their aliyah, as we do today. Let's do a quick chazar of today's daf. We spoke about mitzvahs that are day mitzvahs, mitzvahs that are nighttime mitzvahs. Mishnah says things that are kasha kol hayom are done kol hayom. What does that come in to add? Siluk v'sidur b'zichen. According to Shittas Rabbi Yossi, there's no rush. You can do it in the morning and bring the new one in the afternoon. It's kasha kol hayom. Things that are kasha b'layla, it's vasa b'layla, kasha kol halayla. Says the Gemara Lasuye Achilas Korban Pesach. This Tana holds that Achilas Korban Pesach can be done the entire night. We learned that the Megillah can be read sitting, two people together, because of the Chavivas. You'll pay attention, as opposed to Kriyas HaTorah. It has to be Ba'amida, just like Kadosh Baruch Hu Moshe Rabbeinu. We learned that by Torah there used to be one person reading at a time and one person translating to keep it clear. We learned about Kavod HaTorah. They used to stand when they learned. Proceeded to Brichas Megillah. Lefanei there are 3 brachas. Lacharei we have the Nusach, which is Tali and Minig. Now, how many Olam LaTorah are there? Well, it depends. Monday, Thursday, Shabbos, HaMincha, 3 Olam. Connected. Torah Nevi'im Ksuvim, or Kohen Levi Yisrael. It involves 10 Psukim, Aseres HaDibros, etc. And the fellow who ends up doing the 4 Psukim, he is Meshabach. Rosh Chodesh Chol HaMoed, we have 4 Olam. What about brachas? In the olden days, the first Olam would make the bracha lefanei. The last Olam would make bracha lacharei. Nowadays, we're concerned about latecomers and people fleeing the Beis HaKnesses early. They instituted that every Olam will make 2 brachas, one before, one after. All the best to you, and much, much hatzlacha.